Hisense sent me a television to review. Are they insane? Skip it up and that up. So Hisense actually did send me out one of their new TVs to review. This is the U7G. It is their gaming-oriented TV. So for many of you on this channel who just got your PlayStation 5, if you could find one, or you got your Xbox Series X, if you could find one, you're probably looking for a television that doesn't break the bank, that'll give you all the next-gen niceties that HDMI 2.1 offers, like the high 120 Hz refresh rate and auto low latency mode, variable refresh rate, etc., etc. Well, good news is that you could get the Hisense U7G at the enormous size of 65 inches before taxes for under $1,000 in the States. It's not going to be an OLED, but I will say one thing. I don't think you could beat this TV for the price. I just don't. I don't see any competitor out there for the size and features that you get with it that could compete with the Hisense U7G. It's not perfect, but man, is it good. In the interest of full disclosure, I will let it be known that I am not being paid by Hisense. They are not financially compensating me to do this video. They gave me a review sample, told me to give my take, and that's it. I will have an affiliate link to the television from Amazon below in the description if you do want to pick it up, but no check was handed to me. They sent me a TV, told me to make a video, and here I am. Hi. So the U7G is a good-looking television. Very, very small bezels, minimalist design, even like the Hisense logo at the bottom of the TV is, you could barely see it. It's not too thick as you're seeing here as well. It's a good looking TV. It does not look like you got a budget TV hanging up on your wall, which as you see here, I have mine hanging up on my wall because that's the only place I could really fit it. Now the build quality is expected. It's decent. It's plastic. You touch the back where you put the mount for the television. It's very, very hollow. A little too hollow, but here's the thing. Once you put a TV up and you either hang it on a wall or you put the feet on and sit it on whatever TV stand you're gonna have, does it really matter? But nonetheless, you know, that plastic in the back was a little bit shaky. Wish it was a little bit thicker. I understand they're looking to save money here and there, but it's hollow. It's hollow. But again, once you set it, you forget it. And are you really going to be massaging the back of your television? If you do, please take a video of that. Would be quite funny if you just sit there like this. I don't really think anybody's going to do that, so who cares? So let's talk about the features of this television, because that's what most of you are here for. You're going to see 4 HDMI ports on the back. 2 of them are going to be HDMI 2.0, so you're not going to use those ports to get all the niceties you're going to get with the next-gen consoles. And then you have 2 HDMI 2.1 ports. Now, in a perfect world, do I wish that all of the HDMI ports on this TV were HDMI 2.1? Sure. That would be fantastic. Then I could hook up my Xbox Series X, my PlayStation 5 on my RTX 3080 gaming PC and get all of the HDMI 2.1 features, but all the other brands, even top-of-the-line brands, don't have all the ports HDMI 2.1 capable. So I can't really hold that against the H7G. And I have a bird on my table, so you can't say anything. Oh. Now, when it comes to the game mode features of the HDMI 2.1 ports, I have to read from their Amazon Prime page because it's amazing. Brace yourself. This is edginess at its best. All the most advanced gaming tech, all in this TV. HDMI 2.1 inputs recognize gaming sequences to automatically adjust settings for smooth, uninterrupted play. The automatic low latency mode, ALLM, variable refresh rate, VRR, and FreeSync, if you have an AMD graphics card on your PC, minimize input lag, screen jitter, and frame tearing. So your gaming looks sick, even if you suck. I bet you someone thought a real long time about that. But yeah, again, with HDMI 2.1, you're going to get auto low latency mode, VRR, high refresh rate, everything that you're expecting from next-gen consoles. Keep in mind the PS5 does not have variable refresh rate enabled yet. That's going to come in an update or patch later down the line. But if you buy this TV and when VRR is enabled, you'll be ready to go. Now, it also has Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. We'll talk more about the sound in a couple minutes, and it's also IMAX enhanced. So you're getting a lot of bang for the buck with the U7G. And also, it's a smart TV. It has Android TV on it. It's Android TV, it's good. You could ask your TV to tell you what the weather is. Moving right along, let's talk about the sound quality. It's good sound. You can get away with not having a sound bar, but it could use a little more bass, and it's just not as full and rich as other televisions, even in its price point that I've used. Is the sound quality acceptable? Sure. But you're probably going to want a sound bar. You don't need one, it's not awful, but I would recommend one if you buy the U7G. Its speakers are slightly above average. So let's talk about the display. It's the main reason why you buy a television. You're going to see in front of the box, if you purchase one of these TVs, that it says ULED. ULED is not OLED. ULED is QLED. It is their terminology, Hisense's terminology for quantum dot technology, and it is LCD. Everyone gets mad when I say that. You could literally go to Hisense's website right now and they tell you the screen type or display type, it is LCD. It sounds prettier to use words like ULED or QLED. They're different takes on LCD. You still have to have a way to, you have to have a backlight to make these screens work. Now, there's positives to that. The U7G has 1000 nits peak brightness. You are not getting those levels of peak brightness out of an OLED television because if you tried to, there would be burn-in. That's the nice thing about not having an OLED television, is that the screen can get much brighter. So if you have a well-lit room, you will still get a bright, beautiful picture. But HDR content looks fantastic, and honestly, unless there's a super dark scene where there's a ton of black and a ton of shadows, it almost looks as good as OLED. It really does. I'm really impressed with the image quality out of this TV. Now, it is a VA panel, and I've seen a bunch of other reviews on the H7G where they say because it's a VA panel, if you look from angles that color, like blacks start to get milky. I've seen it a little bit, but I looked at various angles and it's not as extreme as I've seen other reviewers make it out to be. Yes, you do see the image change when you look at angles, but it's nowhere near as severe as I've seen. Maybe it's just my panel. Maybe they, when they got their product, they had a different result, and maybe I would see it on their U7G television. But on mine, when I look from the side, yeah, you see a little bit of difference, but it's not that bad. Now, one of the other things I look for any backlit television is the dirty screen effect. Now, what that is because there's backlights, it's very tough for manufacturers to get an even picture across the whole screen, and some places may be brighter than others, some places may be darker than others, so it almost looks like the screen is dirty if you have a flat color on there. Now, the footage I'm going to show here, you do see the dirty screen effect, but it's nowhere near as bad in person. I've tried multiple cameras, they all showed the same thing. There's some there, and that's why I'm still including this footage, but the dirty screen effect is nowhere near as bad that I've seen on other panels from other high-end manufacturers. Not going to name any names here in this video, but I was pretty impressed with how even the backlighting was on this TV, because a lot of times backlighting is it's very tough to get a solid level of brightness that's even across the entire screen, and Hisense did a pretty good job here making that happen. Now, it took me a couple days to find this, but nonetheless I did. Hisense, you should make this a little more transparent, though. I shouldn't have to dig this much to get this bit of information. The 65-inch Hisense U7G TV, the one that I got to review, has 90 different dimming zones. Of course, you are going to notice when these dimming zones are lit up. It has a USB port on the back of the television. It actually has 2 USB ports. I hooked up a keyboard and I moved a mouse across the black screen, and I turned the exposure up on my camera to as high as it would go. to show the different dimming zones. And here you go. You could see them. This is the shortcoming of a non-OLED television that is backlit. To make you see what's on the screen, what they'll do is if the cursor goes, as you see, to a different section, it lights up that quadrant. But again, though, that's an extreme. Who's going to sit there with a black screen in complete darkness with just a mouse cursor going across it? In normal real-world circumstances, the lighting looks great. Again, blacks are never going to be as dark as they will in an OLED, but it looks fantastic. And in many cases, you won't even notice the difference between an OLED TV and this LCD television, or ULED television, I mean to say. It looks really good. But before you think I'm just singing its praises, let me tell you one thing that I wasn't super thrilled with. It isn't a deal breaker, and I've seen it on other panels, and it's not the worst I've seen, but it's still there enough that I have to mention it. One thing I've noticed when you're playing high refresh rate games, for example, I was playing Doom Eternal here, it probably won't show up well in the footage, is there's ghosting. When you do high refresh rate, I've noticed that there is more ghosting. If you're moving quickly, you will see that like there's two different frames on the screen. It's not as prevalent as I've seen in other televisions, but it's still a thing. Now, playing the PlayStation 5 on here was absolutely fantastic. I played some Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I played some Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I played some Streets of Rage 4, which that was really eye-popping on my television. That actually looked the closest to OLED out of anything else I viewed playing Streets of Rage 4. Now, I also played games in high refresh rate mode like Doom Eternal and, like I just mentioned, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And when you play at 120 hertz, you're definitely going to notice that there's much less lag. Now, when playing high refresh rate games like Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War or now Doom Eternal, you'll definitely notice that the response time on the U7G is awesome. For 120 hertz, this comes from ratings.com, by the way. They did this test. They're getting about 7.7 milliseconds, which is really good for television. In 4K 60, they're getting 15.4 milliseconds. So you're getting decent response times. Again, this isn't a monitor, it's a television, and you definitely feel the difference when you're playing games at 120 hertz, which I strongly recommend playing Doom Eternal on 120 hertz mode if you can, or when you get this TV. And also on top of that, playing back 4K HDR content on YouTube looked fantastic. The colors popped. Again, obviously black levels are not going to be the same as they would on my OLED televisions, but you definitely see the contrast. You definitely see images come off the screen when you're watching something in HDR. And as a person who owns OLED televisions, I don't feel slighted gaming or viewing YouTube videos on the Hisense TV. So Hisense, I didn't know what to expect from you. I never owned one of your televisions before, but the U7G blew me away. How much value you're getting for the price, all the features it has with HDMI 2.1. I am now a huge fan of Hisense, and if they keep offering this much value in their televisions, they're going to nail it out of the park, man. Really impressed. So if you're interested in picking this television up, I'll have an affiliate link below in the description, and I hope you enjoyed this review. This is Rich of Review Tech USA, signing out. Have a good one.